Coaching in Session.
Your exclusive destination for unparalleled personal and professional growth.
With your host, Michael Rearden.
Whether you choose to live within limits or break free, your mindset journey begins here.
Today's episode is reminiscent of the battle that warriors have before they even step on the battlefield. Heck, before they even march toward the battlefield. I think of Sparta or Spartan men. And of course, you can think of Amazon women or whatever it be. But the preparation when someone is going off to war. One of the things that they're doing is that they're making sure they spend time with their family, playing with the young ones, spending time with their mom or their, again, husbands or wives. They're spending time with family. And that typically is going to give them the mindset of purpose. I have something to come home to. I have something to do. I have something to accomplish. There is still a need for me. Now, of course, they do not go into battle empty-handed. They make sure their bowstrings are tight, their bows are not warped, that the wood is good or the metal is good. They make sure there's no chips in their swords. They make sure that their shields are balanced and that the straps are going to be sturdy. They make sure that the clothes that they're going to be wearing are going to be secure, not become loose during battle. All of these factors happen before an arrow is even drawn. So the preparation is necessary for someone to go off into battle. However, in life, what type of preparation do you do to go off into battle every single day? I'm not saying that you have to go fight wars and to take down enemies, but what I'm saying is that there is a fight that you have to be a part of. Your mind has to be ready, has to be equipped. And going back to the idea of sharpening your blade, you want that blade to be sharp. You want it to be able to cut through the flesh, cut through the bones, and to take out your enemy. One of the things they say with kitchen knives, and this happens with a lot of people, where they have kitchen knives that are not sharpened. Maybe number one, they don't know how to sharpen them. Or number two, they think they don't have to sharpen their kitchen knives. And of course, I know they have these fancy things where you can have these self-sharpeners where you put them in a wood block or a metal block and it automatically sharpens the knife as it goes. But there's nothing like sharpening a knife yourself, a professional job of sharpening your knife. Of course, if you work in a restaurant, you'll probably hire someone to come sharpen them. But for your home, you just have a few chef knives or you have a couple of skewering knives or whatever. You probably don't need to hire a professional. You can get something, a stone. You can get one of those tools that can sharpen the knife effectively. But how many people buy these tools, these stones, and they still do not sharpen their weapon? Now let's transfer that idea, that concept to your mind. You have all of these tools and all of these resources, but yet you do not sharpen your mind. And they say that one of the most dangerous things when it comes to a kitchen knife is not the knives that are sharp, it's the knives that are dull. Is your mind dull? I hope it's not. I hope it's sharpened. And if it's not sharpened today, it's going to be the day where we learn how to sharpen that edge. Because today is going to be a special day where we're looking at our final TUS for the year 2025. And this TUS 77 is going to be talking about sharpening your edge, mental toughness strategies to end the year strong. Now, these mental strategies are not just an idea for ending the year strong for the last 2 weeks and saying, hey, I was strong the last 2 weeks and I did good last year. This idea is to prepare you for what's coming next. This is to prepare you for the upcoming battle, the 2026 battle. And I'm not saying that we're going to go to war. I'm not saying that we're going to have all of these hardships. But what I am saying is that you're going to be ready if anything does happen. And I'm not saying that something negative is going to happen. But if something positive happens, are you equipped? Are you ready? For example, I'm going to give you an example of a positive. If you have a business and let's say you have so much demand, but you do not have the assets or you do not have the inventory or you do not have the time to fulfill the demand. So, of course, supply and demand might take hold, so you charge more. But the reality is you are losing or missing out because you're not able to meet demands. So the idea is we need to be able to meet whatever demands come our way. I'm sure people who go off to war, they might think it's glamorous and it might think it's full of honor. And yes, it is going to be full of that, especially on the onset. But the moment it gets tough, that's when souls and spirits start to shatter. That's when minds start to break. That's when people start to lose their purpose and their why. They might look at that picture of their kids or their family or the idea of purpose, and they might have this idea that they want to accomplish what they thought they could. But then there's something inside of their mind that's gnawing at them, that is negative, that is not helping them want to succeed, that is not helping them want to stay alive. And when I mean stay alive, it's not just life, but to stay in the fight, to be resilient, to be forward in what you're doing. All of these concepts are going to be something that we're going to be talking about today. Now, this article, we're going to be looking at multiple facets of what needs to be done in order to sharpen your mind. This idea of mental toughness is not something that's built overnight. It's something that you have to not only build, maintain, but then also you have to sustain it. Now, maintaining and sustaining are two totally different things, and we might have a whole episode on that. Because if I were to maintain something, I'm just going to upkeep it good enough. But if I wanted to sustain something, it's going to be long-term, longevity. So you can sustain a level of maintenance, but the idea is, what would happen if you don't have enough to repair something? What are you going to say? You don't have enough rockets to launch at the enemy. You don't have enough bullets to fire. You don't have enough food to eat. I mean, we can go down the list of all the things that maintenance needs, because when you think about maintenance, it's about making sure you don't have to have something breaking. And if something breaks, we can repair it. But if you have a sustain, guess what? It doesn't matter if everything is broken, that you're going to keep on going. Think of like the runners. David Goggins is a very good example of sustain. When he was running his 24-hour race, number one, he didn't know he had to take breaks during the 24-hour race. But what he did was he just kept on going. Even though he broke some bones or all the bones in his feet, he sustained through the pain. All right. What he did in order to sustain that race and for him to make it to the end was he did maintenance along the way. He would wrap them, he would tape them, and he would say, I'll deal with this later. Okay. Maintenance is making sure that you can sustain through whatever you're going through. Okay. The trials, the tribulations, all of those things are going to be testing you. And most people, what happens is the moment something happens and they have to maintain something, they have to repair, there's a patch. Now they can't do something. Have you ever heard someone say, oh, well, the reason why I was late because my car couldn't start, or I had a flat tire, right? These excuses, even though they're valid, I'm not saying that they're not valid. What I'm saying is that the little hiccups in life can stop you. Do you allow them to stop you? And if you do, we have some work to do. So when we're looking at the 3-step edge sharpening routine, it's going to be simple for you to understand this, but then we're going to go a little bit deeper into 2 aspects of what we need to do in conjunction with these 3. So number 1, we need to define our non-negotiables. This is going to be areas of our key disciplines where we have to focus on things that we're not going to compromise. For example, when I work with people who are looking for work, for example, I might say, what is your bottom line, or how much would you like to get paid? They say, Michael, I would like to get paid $80,000. I would like to get paid $115,000, right? They give me a number. And I say, okay, great. Thank you for that. Now, let's look at your background. Let's look at your experience. And let's look at everything, right? And let's make it realistic, because maybe you have been making that money, but you don't have any level of experience in that job that you were grandfathered into, a sense, might not be something that you can just plausibly go back into very easily. Maybe it's engineering. Of course, there's going to be certain companies that require degrees, education. Maybe some engineering companies are going to say, hey, I don't care about your piece of papers. I care about your experience. So you have to figure out which companies are which ones care about a piece of paper more and which ones care about experience more. Now you have to think about the whole idea of where in the world is this going to be? Because maybe you're living in Colorado and the job market for engineers is low. So you're saying, well, where can I go? Do you want to relocate? Do you want to move to California? Or do you want to move to Texas? Or do you want to move to Florida? Do you want to move to an area where engineering might be in high demand? Because A, you're going to make more money, but then B, you have to do a lot of changes. So do you want to change in order to make that money? Because maybe where you are, it's going to be extremely difficult. Now, what happens is that people think they can't move when they have to make a level of change. So if they lose a job or if they are looking for a new job, they're looking around and everything is entry level or it's not paying enough. And so what happens is that they say there are no jobs out there. The idea is you think that the jobs are only in that one little area. And of course, I understand you might have a home, you might have established roots, but the idea of you as a human is you're not a tree. Of course, you are strong and you're sturdy like a tree, right? If a storm comes, you're not going to blow over easily, I hope. It doesn't mean that you can't get up and move. There's a fantasy name for trees. I think they're called trents or treants or something like that. And this idea is that they can walk around. Here we can walk around, we can move around, we can go to different countries and different areas of the world. But yeah, here we are. And what happens if you fail to move when you have to move or sharpen yourself when you have to sharpen yourself? The moment you need yourself to do something is the moment you're going to reach some level of resistance. So yes, we could have non-negotiables on our salary. We could have non-negotiables about where we live. We can have non-negotiables about our values that we hold for ourselves. But you do have to be able to define them. And you have to ask yourself a critical question. Is this extremely important to me? And I say it that way to be blunt, because if it's not important to you, you're not going to upkeep it. For example, people who say health and fitness is important to them or is going to be important for them later on in life, they find themselves eating some Ben and Jerry's, watching Netflix down the road. So it's like, do you care about your health? And I'm not saying that you can't have Ben and Jerry's and watch Netflix, but what I'm saying is, if your health is suffering, what are you doing to fix it? What are you doing to remedy it? So was health a value, or was it just this idea that you think you will like? And I think what happens is people, they live in this mindset of kinda. They live in this mindset of that will be nice rather than this is what I want. A non-negotiable is you being determined, is you being certain, is you being 100% sure that what you're going for, or what you want to do or not want to do is written or is known. Because most people, if you ask, what do you want in life? They go, oh, I never really thought about that. Well, what don't you want in life? Figure out your non-negotiables. Now, when we are going into 2, we had a past episode with a guest where we talked about this idea. And I love how the podcast episodes meld so well with the blogs. And all of these blogs are already, there's a concept to them where I just have an idea of what blog should come next, right? Because this is all mindset. Because if I say, okay, great, we're going to learn how to swim today. The first thing is we have to get in the water, okay? It's like, can you read a book and learn how to ride a bike? The answer is no. You have to get to practice. So we have to go in the water to learn how to swim. So we have to learn about buoyancy. We have to learn about trusting our body and our mind and letting the water kind of help us navigate through. We have to move our feet in a proper way. We have to move our arms in a certain way. We have to make sure we lift our head high enough when we're coming out of water so we're not guzzling pool water. That's nasty. So there's a lot that needs to happen. But when we are looking at number 2, right, is seek daily resistance. This idea is that we need to challenge ourselves every single day. Because if we don't, what happens? It's very similar to how your muscles will start to break down if you don't use them. For example, if you get injured, I got injured like this year, actually. I got injured this year in June or like May or June. And it is like this arm, right? It's my right arm. And I had hurt my right shoulder back when I was like 18, 19 also. And it's like this arm is like, it wants to give me problems. And I'm like, you're not going to give me problems, right? I'm going to push through. I'm going to know what I have to do. And then when it happens, I'm going to fix it and I'm going to be A-okay and I'm going to keep on chugging, right? So either way, I know one of the things that I have to do when I get injured is I need to repair. I need to recuperate. I need to revitalize myself. And sometimes it means I need to take a break on doing something crazy. So I'm going to hurt myself more. So I don't want to do that. So what I would do is I would do different types of workouts where I'm not putting too much strain on my arms. But you know what happens when I go light and I'm used to going heavy? My muscles start to shrink a little bit, right? Because I'm not putting as much resistance. My mind is saying, hey, this person doesn't need as much energy anymore. So yeah, sure, I might be doing a little bit more cardio, doing a little bit more calisthenics work or just body weight workout. So I'm adjusting to where I need to be. But then again, where I was and what I was doing is very different than what I'll be doing now. So my body's going to change. Now, my body's going to change. And number one, I might say, I don't like this change, but it is great for a reset. So if I reset my body and I say, hey, I'm going to reset, I'm going to do something new. This is why I have 3 different types of workouts. I have A, B, C. So if I'm doing A one week, I might do B another week, and then I might go back to A, and then maybe I'll go to C the 3rd week or 4th week. And so I'm just naturally challenging my mind and my body and saying, hey, you don't know what I'm going to be doing to you, so you need to be ready for anything. It's the same concept of you have to be ready for bear. It's the same concept of if you were to have a dinner party, can you hire a chef for them to come in and maybe they forgot their knives at home? Can they use yours? Have you been sharpening and preparing for what could possibly happen? We don't know. So this is why we have to be ready for whatever could happen. We seek challenges. We seek some level of setbacks because they make you better. They help you become adaptable. You become to pivot more rather than to feel stuck if something negative or something bad happens. And sure enough, next year, or just in 2026 or in 2027 or any year that follows this, you're going to have some level of setbacks. So you have to seek daily resistance so your mind can be resistant to whatever happens. There's a gentleman who they do a lot of streaming and stuff. And of course, in our world today, we have this concept called keyboard warriors. And the concept of keyboard warriors are people who would say things and do things that they would never say or do in real life because they feel safe in their home. They feel like I'm in my box, I'm in my comfort zone. I can say whatever I want to whoever I want on the internet, and there's no repercussions. And what happens is that it creates a very fragile relationship or correlation to people, right? They lose cordiality, and then the mind also becomes weak because the resistance is not there typically from an in-person interaction because it's very different. If you tell someone in person that maybe they're dumb or that they're stupid or that you don't like them, you might get some level of resistance. You might get an argument or you might get some words thrown at you. And so you have to be ready for it. But what happens is that most of the people who are getting these words online, especially if they're like a streamer, or there's someone who's that keyboard warrior also, they start fighting with this person online like they mean something or like they're insignificant in their life or that they're significant in their life. These people mean nothing. And if they're coming and they're trolling, or if they're coming and they're saying certain things, because if you're a coach, for example, they might say something about your coaching. If you are a spiritual person, they might say something about your spirituality. If you are a content creator or you do something, they might say something about whatever you're doing, right? There's always going to be people who hate. There's always going to be people who are the naysayers. There's always going to be people who are negative. And so you need to have daily resistance to all the negativities that are going to get thrown your way. So we know that. Now, when we do all of this together, we have to be able to track what we do. Because if we can't see what we're doing, how can we adjust if things need to be adjusted? A business plan, for example. You will know if your business is successful. You can look at the numbers, of course. Are you making money? Are you making profit? Are you getting clients? Are you changing lives, maybe, right? It could be something as simple as that. How many people did you help this week? Okay. If you can keep track of that, then you can reflect on it every single week. Then you can do it every single year. And you can always challenge yourself to be better. One of the things Matthew McConaughey says, I will never meet my hero. He says, my hero is me 10 years from now. And so when he is trying to be this person that everyone loves, he's also thinking about the person he's going to be in 10 years, where that person is just so much further than where he is right now. To think about something that's unattainable by you, you will always be chasing your better version. Now, of course, this is to say that you want to change. This is to say that you want to upkeep yourself. Some people, they just kind of buy into this concept once and then they hope it stays forever. It's like they get coaching, they do personal development, they listen to the podcast, they read the blogs, and all of these things are wonderful things. Yes, I understand. But do you maintain them? Can you keep it up for 5 years? Can you keep it up for 10 years? Can you change your life? Because change doesn't happen all the time immediately. If you want to create millions of dollars in cash flow, it doesn't just happen overnight. Now, of course, maybe you get lucky with the .com bubble, right? We can be Mark Cuban. We can maybe get lucky with a stock or something like that. We can buy the right things, whether it be Amazon, Apple, it could be Google, whatever, right? And we can say within just a couple of years, we can have a significant level of investment to us. But those things are not guaranteed. But what I can tell you is guaranteed is you. You have a guarantee right now that you can show up. However, there's also the probability and the possibility that you won't show up. That even if you do show up, it's not going to be 100%. So these people going off into battle, do you think they're just kind of sharpening their swords, kind of getting their gear ready, kind of saying they love their family, and then they go off to battle? No, they do it with everything they have because they know if they don't give it their all, that's their life. And how many people are not giving their all every single day and they call that their life? And they wonder why they don't have the good things. They wonder why other people are winning. They wonder why they can't get out of their circumstance. And the reason is they're not sharpening their mind. Again, this is a tune-up series, right? This is a series where people who have strong mindsets, they can come in and they can do this work. This is a heavy thing. This is a big pill to swallow, all of this content here in this article, because we talk about ideas like standards. We talk about this idea of accountability. And all of these need to happen if you have a strong mindset already. If you have a mindset that is weak, that is fragile, number one, of course, you can still read the blog, but you need to start to get some help. You can reach out to us, revenconcepts.com. You can get yourself a consultation. Maybe you can't afford coaching. That is perfectly fine. Get yourself the consultation. At least figure out what you need to do. And then you're going to learn something about yourself. A, do you do it? Or B, do you just think about it? Because what happens oftentimes is that people think about what they have to do, but they never do it. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. And that's what happens every single year with resolutions. I'll do it eventually. What if the warrior said, I'll get to sharpening my sword one day. And then the battle finally erupts and they pull their sword and it's rusted and it's chipped and it's not well maintained. And the first thing that happens when they swing the sword and it clashes with another sword of an enemy who was prepared, their sword breaks and shatters immediately. So we have a choice. Are we going to fall to a lower level of standard? Are we not going to be accountable for what we can do in our life? Well, I make it easy for anyone who wants to hold themselves accountable and they want to be more present in their life. Here in this tune-up series, is one of the first ones I'm doing, is I created a daily checklist. And typically I would do the daily checklist separate from the article, where you can just come in and say, okay, I got a daily checklist on revenconcepts.com. But here I put it straight in the blog. There's just 5 quick questions that you can ask yourself, that you can work through. It might take you 10 minutes, maybe less. So I encourage you to check it out. I'm not going to say the questions or read them. I don't think it's necessary. I think you should do the work. All of this is to say is that what season you're in is going to depend on so many factors. Of course, circumstance can be a factor, but just because it's winter doesn't mean you have to be cold. Just because it's summer doesn't mean you have to be sweating and hot and trying to find water like you're in the Sahara Desert. We acclimate. But the question is, do you acclimate? Will you acclimate? Will you change? This is the time. This is your moment. And so we have this article here, again, TOS Part 77, Sharpening Your Edge, Mental Toughness Strategies to End the Year Strong. And this is not only to end the year strong, it is to continue next year strong. So we start strong, we finish strong, and we remain strong. All of these ideas and all of these concepts lead to a mindset that are going to help invigorate you, not only to action, but to something that's going to be what we call paramount, or what we call fulfillment. Because if I say that you can work the hardest you can work and you won't reach your results, would you still want to even work that hard? Some people will say yes, right? Maybe they have a good, strong mindset, right? They say, yeah, it doesn't matter. If I never reach it, I'm still going to try. I'm still going to do it. Those people, if they keep on digging, they're going to find the diamonds. They're going to hit gold. They're going to hit oil. But the people who give up, there's a saying, the people who give up, just around the corner, that's their breakthrough. That's the change. And so right here, we're just around the corner for the new year. Maybe we're just around the corner to the new you. I encourage you, once again, check out this article, dive in, dig deep, sharpen your edge, and to make sure that your mindset is equipped for whatever battles may come its way.